Hey there. So welcome to the next edition, which is exploring all of the planets on a day-by-day basis. And so this is Thursday, the 23rd of July, 2026, where I'm going to be looking at the conversation that the planets are having with each other. Now, this is a turning point day. If we just pace back a little bit, yesterday on the 22nd, the sun went into Leo, and that's encouraging us to absolutely warm ourselves up. In fact, somebody in the comments said that they were allowing the heat to heal them, which I really loved. As we're going into the 23rd, we're coming to, I think, quite a poignant moment. First of all, Mercury's going direct. I think we're all going to like have that sigh of relief and release, actually, as Mercury goes direct in the sign of Cancer. He has been giving us such a boot camp into our historical emotions. He's been going backwards, or appearing to go backwards, from 26 degrees Cancer all the way to 16 degrees. And that's when he's moving forwards again. So during that time, if you felt quite exhausted, this actually should mark a time when you're starting to come back into yourself. It won't feel like much at first. It might just feel like a slight ease. And then I think your energy and also your appetite, not necessarily your physical appetite, but your emotional appetite will start to increase again. So you'll feel a little bit more like yourself as the next few days go past. But this is, I think, a turning point. I like this a lot. Now, we've also got the sun in a square to Chiron. Now, that's exact. But you can also see that the sun is already advancing into a conjunction with Jupiter. So we'll explore that. And, Chiron and the sun and Jupiter are all in opposition to Pluto. So what we've got here is known as T-square. So you've got Pluto making a square to Chiron, making a square to the sun and Jupiter. Now, T-squares are particularly, I'd like to say they're easy. They stress us out a little bit because we've got an opposition, first of all, that's putting us in two minds and not being sure which mind to serve. It creates a lot of tension. And then anywhere where we've got oppositional planets, both making an aspect to something else, there's a sort of breakout energy where the pressure created here breaks out, and here you can see it's really breaking out through Chiron. Now, we do have some other breakout points. We've got Neptune here and Uranus here. So we do have lots of options, but this is pretty startling and pretty shocking. So I just want to reiterate this. I spoke about this in the week ahead forecast right at the beginning of the week, but Chiron and the sun coming into a square, they're in a square. Well, the sun is going to make three challenging aspects to Chiron each year. So we've got the square, we'll have the opposition, and then we'll have the returning square, and then the sun will come back into a conjunction. Now, when the sun's in a conjunction with Chiron, and that would have happened earlier this year, it would have been in the sign of Aries. So it would have been early to mid-April when they came together in a conjunction. We're always taking ourselves on a new healing journey. You know, the sun in a conjunction to Chiron, it's like we're considering how we're going to heal. We might go deeper into our healing. We might consider new ways of healing that we hadn't considered before. We might realize where our own negative belief systems are playing into things. And so this is really this is an aspect on the journey of healing that you were starting back in April, and it's really hitting hard right now. So you might be quite critical of yourself in terms of how far you've come since April. You might be thinking, God, I thought I would be through this already. Actually, I remember I gave up gluten, dairy, and sugar and coffee all at the same time. The coffee is stuck. I haven't gone there. But the sugar has definitely crept back in, and the gluten has as well. Managed 2 months, didn't quite manage it as far as here. And yeah, I am feeling that maybe the sense of disappointment that I didn't continue. So this is like really showing you the cost of what's going on with our self-esteem right now. And that can happen in a physical level. For instance, where I was just talking about in terms of food allergies or potential food allergies, but it can also be very much about the emotions. And one of the things I think Chiron often shows us is, where we're on a journey of self-acceptance, self-worth, and also looking at abandonment and where we've really abandoned ourselves. Often, and you might find you do this yourself, we go to lots of effort for other people and then we forget to serve ourselves. That's, I think, a common thread with Chiron. He really shows where we can absolutely sacrifice ourselves sometimes. Now, he is in the sign of Taurus, so in many ways, both the sun and Chiron have already changed his journey. When it started, it was in the sign of Aries, really suggesting that there was this, like, we have to do it now, and this is all about our survival, our physical survival is the most important thing. But actually, now that Chiron is in Taurus, it's less about the survival, but more about the nervous system, more about how we can feel calm in ourselves, how can we feel gentle with ourselves. And so, yeah, this is absolutely bringing us to a lot of questions about our self-worth, our self-concept, in particular because, Taurus also deals with values. Are we worth it? Are we worth the extra effort? Are we appreciated? Are we enjoyed? Taurus really wants our senses to be, Taurus, I guess, gives us access to our senses. It's a very sort of sensuous planet. It likes good food. It likes to feel comfortable in its body. Taurus absolutely needs a lot more rest. So you might find with this sun square to Chiron right now that in this week ahead, you're needing a lot more rest than usual. You do need to treat yourself with respect rather than with punishment. Taurus doesn't do very well with that kind of behavior. So it's like, how can you kindly heal yourself rather than bully yourself, which is what the Aries Chiron would have you do. So if you're feeling a little bit like, oh, I'm not enough, I feel like a bit of an imposter in my own life. I feel like I'm getting it wrong. Whatever it is, you might be, even like the fear of rejection, you might actually be rejecting yourself at the same time. So these are big. Now, earlier I did speak about us also at the same time really wanting to be seen. Jupiter in Leo is really bringing that up. And now that the sun is in the sign of Leo as well, there's this feeling of, okay, let's be seen. How can I be more seen? And of course, if your self-concept is, developing and also under stress, that could cause a real difficulty, because on the one hand, you want to be seen, you need to be seen, you recognize that you do have some value, but there's a part of you in your body that's holding on to these old ideas. And maybe your body has metabolized these old ideas of I'm not enough, or why would someone bother with me? So this is creating quite a tension. Now, when we add on that we've also got Pluto adding into this, Pluto in Aquarius, I think really shows social pressure. So, anywhere where you're giving yourself a hard time, you're also anticipating a hard time from other people. So I really feel that the shame game that is being played by so many right now cannot be solved by power. Wanting approval by people in positions of power is actually not where your great strengths are going to come from right now. So how can you go a little deeper into yourself? How can you feel good in your body? Enjoy being in your body, maybe eat something that feels good and that you feel nurtured by, be in a temperature that suits you, like do something to serve the body so that at least your body is feeling like it is worth it. Even if in your mind you can't quite like slow it down, how can you serve the body, the physical, so that you have some sense of relaxation? This will pass. In fact, the very next day, you'll find that, the sun is coming out of this. It will still take a good week or so to come out of it. But I want to talk a little bit more about this advancing conjunction. See, when the sun gets close to planets, it tends to blast them out of significance, not like literally like a little guns like firing at the planets, but if you think of the sun and how much the sun appears to shine, it really kind of belittles all the other planets, and Jupiter's quite a big one to belittle. But from our perspective here on Earth, as we're looking out, it looks like as the sun gets closer and closer to Jupiter, he gets completely burnt out. It's called combust. Jupiter's in a combust position right now. He's so close to the sun that we almost can't see him. A bit like if you're out somewhere socially and there's somebody who's a natural performer, really good looking, and is unafraid to take up space. Often the people around them seem to disappear because all eyes are on the character. And that's what the sun's like. Now, they will come into an exact conjunction next week on the 29th. And that's when we've got a Jupiter Cazimi. And this is when we're going to get a sudden burst of Jupiter insight. Now, Jupiter is about wisdom, confidence. Jupiter's really helping us to build up so much within ourselves. So you might find that whilst Jupiter's combust, like from now, it's been combust a little while, but as it's getting closer and closer to Jupiter, you might find that the natural wisdom you would normally have, your natural insight, your natural feeling of optimism, it's suddenly a little bit lost. And it's going to start coming back. Now, recently, when I was talking about the boat or the basket, the lovely configuration that we've got at the moment from Pluto to Neptune to Uranus and to Jupiter, I've been talking about how at the moment it feels like we are planning things and maybe not ready to completely go live with them until mid-August. In particular, after the solar eclipse. There's a solar eclipse happening in Leo at around 20 degrees on the 12th. Now, on the 13th of August, Jupiter's coming out of the combust position with the sun. And so Jupiter is really coming back into himself. So I really feel like whatever's going on, whatever you're working on in terms of your self-esteem, it's like we're just in this sort of integration moment. We are maybe not able to access our usual sense of optimism, our usual sense of like tuning into wisdom. Maybe the wisdom is coming into us in a different way, not from us, but from our interactions with other people. Don't worry about it. Maybe don't choose to take it so personally or see it as a huge failing. Don't allow your readiness to tell yourself how wrong you are again and again and again in different ways. Just take it as information. Just think, okay, right now I can't get the wisdom. It's fine. It's going to come back. But I can see wisdom from the plants, the animals, the people that I'm encountering today. Like every experience, every living experience right now is communicating to you. So I just think the more you can relax into this, the easier it is. Now, there's no actual major moon movements or aspects on Thursday. And what this is also saying to me is, even though the moon on Thursday is in the sign of Scorpio, which has very, very deep emotions, it's not connecting to anything. So you might find that you're a little bit calmer with yourself, that you don't have to beat yourself up, that there's maybe a feeling of calm peace even. So yeah, my advice on this day is to notice any voices coming up where you might be shaming yourself or believing in your not enoughness. Take it as information. Don't take it personally. Write it down, observe it, notice it, witness it. And then when you're ready, talk to yourself gently. The whole purpose of this day, I think, is to be gentle with yourself. Chiron in Taurus is absolutely wanting the calm and the peace within the body. And maybe the body is bringing up some of the feelings. If you've been tense for months or years, if you've been holding on to tension and holding on to thoughts against yourself for a long time, the body, if it's starting to feel safe enough to release it, and I think this recent Mercury retrograde has done that, I think we're going to hear the body talk. And so, yeah, look after your body, give it something it likes, wear things that feel comfortable, allow your body to be in ease, and it will start talking to you, and it will be gentle, and you don't need to be emotional. I don't know if that was helpful or not. I hope it was. If you'd like to go a little bit deeper with me, I do have my community on the school platform, and it's full of really lovely, curious people who love exploring astrology. We often ask ourselves questions, and we're all trying to make sense of life together, which I think is really encouraging. It's completely free to join. You're really, really welcome to join us. And if ever you decide that you want a consultation with me, you'll automatically just receive a 5% discount just because you're a free member. So if that has swayed you, then come join us. All you need to do is go and scan the QR code above my head, and you can just slip right into the community. It's as easy as that. So I hope tomorrow is good for you on Thursday, the 23rd of July, and I look forward to catching up with you all soon. Bye for now.